Let's start with a feeling we've all had, but no one really likes to talk about being ignored. Maybe it was that one group of people who never invited you in. Maybe it was family members who dismissed your ideas or opinions. Or maybe it was the world itself, making you feel invisible, like no one sees the real you or what you bring to the table. It stings, doesn't it? That sense of being unseen, unheard. But what if I told you that this experience, this feeling of being ignored, is one of the greatest gifts you've ever been given? What if I told you that being overlooked isn't a curse, but a sign, a signal that you're walking a path meant for something far beyond what others can see right now? This is why I want you to lean in, because this isn't just about reframing your pain, it's about uncovering the deeper wisdom behind it. There's a reason you've been ignored, and that reason is powerful. It's part of your awakening, part of your preparation as a chosen one. You see, chosen ones aren't recognized by the world right away. In fact, the world often rejects what it doesn't understand. And you, being chosen, are not like most people. You're different. You've always known that, haven't you? Even if you couldn't put it into words, you felt it in your soul, a calling, a purpose, a sense that you're here for something more. But with that calling comes a period of preparation, and that preparation often takes the form of being ignored.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons.
Let's break it down. When you're ignored, you're given space. Space to grow, to evolve, to figure out who you really are without the noise of validation or approval. Think about it. If everyone had celebrated you from the beginning, if the world had handed you everything you thought you wanted, would you have been forced to dig deep? Would you have developed the strength, the resilience, the clarity that you have now? Being ignored pushes you inward. It forces you to look within for your worth, your value, your purpose. And that's exactly where your power lies, not in the opinions of others, but in the truth of who you are. Here's a question for you. What have you discovered about yourself in the moments when no one else was paying attention? Those moments, though painful, are sacred. They are where the real work begins. When you're ignored, you're free to fail, to experiment, to make mistakes, without the pressure of judgment or expectation. And in those moments, you're forging something stronger than approval. You're building authenticity. You're becoming the person you were meant to be, not the person the world wanted you to be. But let's go deeper. Being ignored teaches you discernment. When the world isn't watching, you learn to act from a place of true intention rather than performance. You're not doing things to gain attention or praise. You're doing them because they matter to you, because they align with your soul. And that's rare. Most people are so caught up in being seen that they lose sight of themselves. But you've been given the gift of time, of solitude, of reflection, and while it might feel lonely, it's also where your power is cultivated. Let me ask you, what would you do differently if you stopped needing anyone else to see or validate your journey? Here's another layer. Being ignored protects you. As a chosen one, your mission is sacred, and not everyone is meant to understand it right away. If everyone had access to you in your early stages, they might have tried to steer you in the wrong direction or dilute your vision. The truth is, not everyone is ready for your light. Some people might even try to dim it because it reminds them of their own shadows. Being ignored shields you from that, giving you the time and space to grow strong enough to withstand the world's opinions when the time comes. So instead of asking, "Why am I being ignored?" ask yourself, what is this season of invisibility protecting me from? Now, Let's shift gears. Being ignored doesn't just protect you, it prepares you. Think about the greatest leaders, creators, and visionaries in history. Almost all of them went through a period where they were overlooked, underestimated, or even ridiculed. But those were the times that shaped them. Those were the times that tested their commitment, their courage, their faith in their mission. They didn't need the world to believe in them because they believed in themselves. And that's what being ignored teaches you, to believe in yourself when no one else does. To keep going, not because someone is watching, but because you know in your heart that you're walking the right path. So, let me ask you something that cuts to the core. What would you do if you knew no one was ever going to applaud you for it? Would you still do it? Would it still matter? This is the question that separates the chosen from the crowd. Because the chosen ones don't act for applause, they act for purpose. They know that their mission isn't about being seen, it's about making an impact, whether the world notices or not. And here's the beautiful irony: the more you embrace being ignored, the less you'll care about it. You'll realize that your worth doesn't come from being seen, it comes from being true to yourself. And when you reach that point, something incredible happens. The world starts to notice, not because you need it to, but because your authenticity, your light, your purpose become undeniable. But here's the twist: by the time the world notices, you won't need its approval anymore. You'll already know who you are. The first step is understanding that being ignored is not the end of your story, it's the beginning. It's the foundation upon which your strength, your wisdom, and your purpose are built. Now that we've uncovered why being ignored is a gift, let's go even deeper. Let's talk about how you can use this season of invisibility to fuel your transformation and step into your highest potential. Being ignored isn't just something to endure, it's something to embrace. Because when the world turns its back, it gives you the rarest gift of all: freedom. Freedom to grow without limits, to experiment without fear, and to become the person you're destined to be without the weight of outside expectations. But here's the catch: most people waste this gift. They get caught up in the pain of being unseen, in the desire to prove themselves to others, in the endless chase for validation, and in doing so, they miss the opportunity to turn their invisibility into power. So let's not waste this moment. Let's explore how you can take this time of being overlooked and turn it into the foundation for something extraordinary. First, let's talk about one of the most overlooked benefits of being ignored: freedom from distraction. When no one is watching, you're free to focus entirely on yourself and your growth. You don't have to please anyone, perform for anyone, or live up to anyone else's expectations. And while that might feel isolating at first, it's actually incredibly liberating. Think about it: how much of your energy is usually spent worrying about what others think? How often do you make decisions based on how they'll be perceived, rather than what feels right for you? When you're ignored, all of that goes away. You're left with a blank canvas, a rare opportunity to create a life that's entirely your own. So let me ask you, what would you do differently if no one was watching? What choices would you make if you weren't trying to impress anyone? This is your chance to reconnect with yourself on the deepest level, to ask the questions most people avoid: who am I, really? What do I want? Why am I here? These are the questions that shape your destiny, but they require solitude to answer. They require silence. When you're ignored, you're given the time and space to reflect, to go inward, and to discover the truth of who you are. And that truth is powerful. It's the foundation of your purpose, your mission, your light. But self-discovery is only the beginning. Once you've reconnected with yourself, the next step is to use this time to build, to invest in your growth, your skills, your vision. This is where most people get stuck. They spend their time waiting for someone to notice them, waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for the perfect moment to act. But chosen ones don't wait. They create. They use their invisibility as a shield, a cocoon where they can grow stronger, wiser, and more aligned with their purpose. So, let me ask you, what could you create during this season of invisibility? What skills could you master? What dreams could you build if you stopped waiting and started acting? You see, being ignored gives you the luxury of time. Time to fail without judgment, to experiment without fear, to take risks without the weight of expectation. And failure, as painful as it might feel, is one of your greatest teachers. When no one is watching, you're free to fail as many times as it takes to get it right. You're free to learn, to grow, to evolve. And when the world finally does notice you, they won't see your failures, they'll see the masterpiece you've created. But here's the deeper question: are you willing to fail in private so you can succeed in public? Are you willing to use this time to grow, even if no one is cheering you on? Another hidden power of being ignored is the ability to cultivate inner strength. When you're not receiving external validation, you're forced to find validation within yourself. And that's a good thing, because external validation is fleeting. It's unreliable. But the confidence and self-worth you build from within, that's unshakable. That's the kind of strength that allows you to walk into any room, any situation, and own your power whether people see you or not. So ask yourself, where does your sense of worth come from? Is it tied to how others see you, or is it rooted in the truth of who you are? Finally, let's talk about the most profound gift of being ignored: humility. As a chosen one, you're here to do great things, but greatness without humility can become arrogance, and arrogance blinds you to your purpose. But being ignored humbles you. It reminds you that your mission isn't about being seen, it's about serving. It's about making an impact, even if no one ever gives you credit for it. And that's the kind of greatness that lasts. That's the kind of greatness that changes lives. So let me ask you, are you willing to serve your purpose, even if no one ever acknowledges it? Are you willing to be invisible, if that's what it takes to fulfill your mission? This is the hidden power of invisibility. It strips away everything that doesn't matter. It forces you to look within, to grow, to build, to prepare for the moment when your light will finally shine. And when that moment comes, you won't just be ready, you'll be unstoppable. Now that you've started to embrace the hidden power of invisibility, it's time to take the next step. This is where transformation begins, not just within you, but in how you show up in the world. Because being ignored is not the end of the story. It's the preparation. It's the fertile soil where your purpose takes root, grows, and eventually breaks through the surface into the light. But here's the truth: breaking through isn't about waiting for someone to pull you into the spotlight. It's about rising on your own terms with the strength, clarity, and authenticity you've cultivated in the shadows. This is where your growth turns into power. And power, for a chosen one, isn't about domination or control, it's about alignment. It's about living in harmony with your purpose, your gifts, and the path you're here to walk. But how do you take all the lessons, the wisdom, the resilience you've gained during your season of invisibility and turn it into something tangible, something impactful? That's what we're going to uncover now. The first step is to recognize that the world isn't going to hand you anything. And that's not a bad thing, it's a blessing. Because when you stop waiting for permission, for validation, for someone else to see your worth, you become unstoppable. You start to realize that you don't need the world's approval to step into your power. You don't need applause to take action. You don't need recognition to make an impact. So let me ask you, what have you been waiting for? And what would happen if you stopped waiting and simply began? The truth is, the most powerful people in the world didn't wait for the world to notice them. They acted, they took risks, they put their vision into motion, even when no one else believed in it. And that's what you're being called to do now. To take everything you've learned in the shadows and use it as fuel to create, to build, to serve. Because here's the thing, the world doesn't notice people who wait, it notices people who move. So, ask yourself, what's one bold step you can take today to start living in alignment with your purpose? But let's go deeper. Turning growth into power isn't just about external action, it's about internal alignment. It's about making sure that your thoughts, your beliefs, and your energy are all working together to support your mission. Because if you're still carrying doubts, fears, or limiting beliefs, they will sabotage your progress. This is why the inner work you've done during your time of invisibility is so important. It's not just preparation, it's the foundation of everything you're going to build. So let me ask you, what beliefs about yourself do you need to let go of to step fully into your power? Here's a profound truth: the world will only value you as much as you value yourself. If you've been ignored, it's easy to internalize the idea that you're not worthy, not important, not enough. But that's a lie. And as long as you believe it, you'll hold yourself back. The most important shift you can make right now is to start seeing yourself differently. To recognize that you are already enough, already worthy, already capable, regardless of whether the world sees it yet. This isn't arrogance, it's truth. And when you embody that truth, the world will start to reflect it back to you. So let me challenge you, what would your life look like if you fully believed in your own worth? How would you act, think, and show up differently? Another key to turning growth into power is learning how to use your voice. For so long, being ignored has silenced you. It's made you question whether your words, your ideas, your truth even matter. But they do. And now is the time to reclaim your voice, to speak your truth, even if it scares you, to share your gifts, even if no one notices at first, because your voice is your power. It's how you connect, how you inspire, how you create change. So let me ask you, what truth have you been afraid to speak? And what would happen if you finally said it out loud? But here's the thing, power isn't just about what you say, it's about how you live. It's about embodying your purpose in every action, every decision, every moment. This means aligning your life with your values, your mission, and your vision. It means saying no to what doesn't serve you, even when it's hard. It means walking away from people, situations, or habits that pull you out of alignment. And it means showing up every day as the person you're meant to be, even if no one else is watching. So let me ask you, what part of your life is out of alignment with your purpose, and what would it take to bring it back into harmony? Finally, let's talk about impact. Because power is meaningless if it doesn't create change. As a chosen one, you're not here to hoard your gifts, you're here to share them, to use your power to uplift, to inspire, to awaken others. And that starts with taking action, no matter how small. Maybe it's helping one person, sharing one idea, planting one seed. Because even the smallest action can create ripples that reach farther than you ever imagined. So let me ask you, what's one small way you can start making an impact today? This is how you rise from the shadows into the light, not by waiting, but by acting. Not by seeking approval, but by living in alignment with your truth. And as you do, something incredible happens. The world begins to notice. Not because you need it to, but because your light becomes impossible to ignore. Now we've arrived at the final step, the moment where all the pieces come together. You've embraced the gift of being ignored, used it to grow in authenticity and strength, and begun turning that growth into power. But what now? What does it truly mean to live boldly as a chosen one, to step into the fullness of who you are and create a legacy that lasts? This is where you stop simply preparing and start becoming. This is where you take everything you've learned and use it to build a life that not only reflects your purpose, but also inspires others to step into theirs. Let's start with the concept of legacy. Legacy isn't about fame, wealth, or recognition, it's about impact. It's about how your actions, your choices, and your presence ripple through the lives of others, even long after you're gone. The truth is, you're already leaving a legacy, whether you realize it or not. Every decision you make, every interaction you have, every seed you plant is shaping the world around you. The question is, are you leaving the legacy you want to leave, or are you letting the world decide for you? Living boldly means taking ownership of your legacy. It means choosing to act with intention, to align your life with your highest values and your deeper purpose. And that starts with clarity. Ask yourself, what do I want to be remembered for? What impact do I want to have on the people around me? What kind of world do I want to help create? These aren't easy questions, but they're essential, because once you know the answers, you can start living in a way that reflects them, not someday, not when you feel ready, but right now. But here's the thing, legacy isn't built in grand, sweeping gestures. It's built in the small, everyday choices you make. It's in the way you treat people, the way you show up, the way you use your time and energy. It's in the courage you show when you speak your truth, even when it's uncomfortable. It's in the compassion you offer, even when it's not returned. It's in the risks you take, the dreams you chase, and the love you give freely. These are the moments that define your legacy, not because they're loud or public, but because they're real. So let me ask you, what small, intentional action can you take today to start creating the legacy you want? Now, let's talk about fear, because fear is the biggest obstacle to living boldly. Even now, as you begin to step into your power, fear will try to pull you back. It will whisper that you're not ready, that you're not good enough, that the world isn't ready for what you have to offer. But here's the truth, fear is a test. It's not there to stop you, it's there to see if you're serious about your mission. And the only way to pass the test is to act in spite of it. So ask yourself, what fear is holding me back right now, and what would happen if I faced it head-on? Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward anyway. And every time you choose courage, you grow stronger. You start to realize that fear is just an illusion, a shadow that fades when you shine your light on it. This is what it means to live boldly, to keep moving forward, even when it's hard, even when it's uncertain, even when no one else understands your path. Because you're not here to live an ordinary life, you're here to create something extraordinary. But living boldly also means embracing your influence. As a chosen one, your light is meant to inspire others. Whether you realize it or not, people are watching you, not in the sense of judging you, but in the sense of being impacted by your energy, your actions, your example. Your courage gives others permission to be courageous. Your authenticity inspires others to be authentic. Your willingness to rise from the shadows into the light shows others that they can do the same. So let me ask you, how can you use your journey to uplift and empower those around you? Finally, let's talk about surrender. Living boldly doesn't mean you have to have all the answers or control every outcome. It means trusting the process, trusting yourself, and trusting the higher purpose that's guiding you. It means letting go of the need for perfection and embracing the beauty of imperfection. It means recognizing that you are exactly where you're meant to be, and that every step you take, no matter how small, is part of a greater plan. So ask yourself, what do I need to surrender in order to live fully in alignment with my purpose? Living boldly as a chosen one is not about proving yourself to the world. It's about being true to yourself, stepping into your power, and using that power to create a life of meaning, impact, and love. It's about rising from the shadows, not to seek attention, but to shine your light so brightly that it illuminates the path for others. And when you do, you'll realize something incredible. The world didn't ignore you because you were unworthy. It ignored you because it wasn't ready for you. But now you're ready, and the world is too. So rise, chosen one. Your legacy starts now.